So you're going to go out to your landscape and you're going to visit it and look to see what pests might be around your landscape. We always get that call, my plant died overnight. It didn't die overnight. It probably died over 2-3 weeks. You just haven't been out in your landscape to look at it. So things don't happen. Insects aren't going to, well, except for maybe the oleander caterpillar, it's not going to kill your plant overnight. Oleander caterpillars might chew up your plant completely overnight because those things are hungry. But other bugs are not going to. If it's a large bug like a caterpillar, like those tomato hornworms, you can pick them off. No need to go into the garage, mix up a little pesticide, go out and spray it when you can just pick it up and step on it or cut it in half or throw it in a bucket of soapy water or whatever you want to do to get rid of it. If you have one stem on a plant that's full of aphids, it's only on that one stem, just cut that one stem off. Again, no need to go mix up pesticides when you can just prune that off. And we want to make sure that we spot to treat the problem. Like I said, if one plant has insects, it's very unlikely that it's going to infest your whole landscape. Only treat that one plant. That's all you need to do. And then use our least toxic chemicals first, like insecticidal soaps, horticultural oils like neem oil. Neem oil is one of my favorite pesticides because it's a botanical. It comes from the neem tree. Not only is it insecticide, but it's also a fungicide. So it's a 2-in-1, and it's very safe to use in the landscape. And BT, you see that BT? BT stands for Bacillus thuringiensis. It's just a fancy bacterium name. BT only kills caterpillars. It doesn't kill any other organism but caterpillars. It's very safe to use if you're trying to get rid of those tomato hornworms or those oleander caterpillars and other caterpillars. Just keep it away from your butterfly garden because kills caterpillars. It doesn't know the difference between a pest caterpillar and your butterfly caterpillars. And then encourage our good guys. I love that picture there. There's a ladybug eating an aphid. She or he can eat hundreds of aphids in a lifetime. So I do not recommend buying ladybugs because they're not native to Florida and they just kind of fly away. They usually try to fly back to California because they don't like the humidity here in Florida. But encourage your native ladybugs. You can encourage them. So again, if you have aphids, don't kill every single aphid. Leave some of the aphids so the ladybugs can come in and feed on the rest of them. Some good guys. Spiders are good, except for the black and brown widow, but spiders are really good, like those garden spiders or the lynx spiders you see there. The bottom one is the green lacewing. She's really a good insect. Her and her larva will eat the aphids and mealybugs and scale insects. And then the praying mantis loves to eat other insects too. Our 7th principle is recycling yard waste. I also do composting classes, so if you're interested in composting, keep an eye out for those classes. But composting does help you save money if you compost yourself on fertilizer, because compost does have some nutrients in it. It can be used as mulch, and also you're not just taking this debris that you're cutting out of your yard and throwing it into the landfill. We're keeping it on site and composting it right on site. If you do, we want to make sure that we do put it in our yard waste if you have cuttings that you can't compost. I love that picture is some pine trees where they use the pine needles that fell off the tree as free mulch. So that's a great way to use that, creating those self-mulching areas. So they're just composting. Basically, that's a sense when you use mulch, you're composting because that mulch is going to break down and add nutrients to your soil. We recommend that you leave your grass clippings lay where they are. So mow your grass when it's dry so it doesn't clump, and just let them there because they're free fertilizer. Your grass clippings are going to break down and they're going to add nitrogen to your lawn, and hopefully if you do that all year long, you can pass one fertilizer cycle. You have enough nitrogen that you can cut down on your fertilizer. So leave your grass clippings where they fall, and when they fall into the sidewalk, and they fall, I thought I had a picture like that. Maybe I don't. They fall into the sidewalk, if they fall into the driveway, and you're blowing them or sweeping them back, you put it back on your lawn. It doesn't go in the storm drain. That's illegal. Only rain down the drain. If you see anybody blowing debris into the storm drain, that is illegal and they can be fined, because storm drains do not get treated. They go straight to the lagoon. That's where they're going. That's where all the water down the drain is going. So we want to make sure that it's as clean water as possible. Plus we don't want them to clogged up for hurricanes. So if that doesn't sell you on not putting anything down the drain, you want to keep your drains clear, because they can clog up for when it's hurricanes come and then you have flooding. So principle number 8 is reducing our stormwater runoff. So that goes with our grass clippings. Again, this picture, we talked about it with your irrigation system on during the rain. Also, don't like your irrigation system watering the concrete. That is a waste of water. That water is picking up all the yucky stuff on the road, so oil, gasoline, grass clippings, pesticides, fertilizer, whatever pollutants on the road, it's picking it up and is putting it down the storm drain. And the storm drains again go straight to the next body of water. So we want to keep our stormwater at home. It's free water. Why wouldn't we want to keep it on our landscape? So we can do this by directing our downspouts. Don't have your downspouts going onto your driveway or onto your sidewalk. Have it going into the plant bed, so the water's staying on site. If it's washing off your roof straight down your driveway into the storm drain, it's taking all that stuff off your roof, like bird poop and shingles and all that stuff, and it's sending it out into the waterways. And there's the grass clippings one I was looking for. We can also keep our stormwater at home by using pervious surfaces, so the water can drain through the brick you see here. The water's not going to just sheet off with the concrete. We can build swales. We can also, to hold the water, we see that a lot used in Florida, keeping the stormwater so it can drain. You can use a rain barrel. So we sometimes have rain barrel classes too, but in Florida, rain barrels are going to fill up in one rainstorm. They don't hold much water, that's only 50 gallons. But you can use a rain barrel coming off your roof. You can, some people like big cisterns they'll bury in their yard to collect the rainwater, or create a rain garden. So if you have a low spot in your yard where the water goes, make that a rain garden to keep the water on site. And then finally, principle number 9 is protecting the waterfront. So any of you that live near the water, if you have a water-faced home, maybe you're on the lagoon, maybe you're on the ocean, maybe you're on one of the rivers, it's very important. You have extra responsibility to protect that waterway, because anything you do in your landscape has a direct effect to the water. So even if you just live on a retention pond, you still have that responsibility. So we want to make sure, first we want to know our watershed. Does anybody know where our watershed starts?
Appalachians.
What's that?
In the Appalachians.
Oh, not that far north.
No.
Not that far. It's only about 2 hours away. It starts in Kissimmee. So our watershed starts in Kissimmee. So we get all Kissimmee's gunk, and I used to live in Kissimmee, so I can say that. We get all their trash, right, coming down. All their fertilizer, it's coming down through the Kissimmee River, into Lake Okeechobee and then out. So that's where our watershed starts. We're the end of the watershed. So protecting your waterfront, you want to make sure you keep that 10-foot buffer zone and plant it with low maintenance plants. So those plants you see right there along the water, they're stopping any excess fertilizer and trash and other pesticides from going into the water. They're kind of acting as that filter. So having plants around the body of water is very important. One of my colleagues in our office, Vincent Encomio, he actually teaches shoreline plantings. So what you can do if you do live along the shore, you can contact Vincent and he can help you with that. So they absorb nutrients, attracts wildlife, prevents erosion. You know, having that grass right up to the edge of your pond is not recommended. You want to have plants around your pond to help filter those pollutants. Here's some shoreline plantings. We want to make sure that we also keep our invasives out of our shorelines. And then I'll ask for questions in a minute. No, I'm just kind of going really fast. We started a new program here at the University of Florida IFAS Extension Martin County with our Master Gardener volunteers. They are starting a yard recognition program. So they will come out to your yard and evaluate it to see if it's Florida friendly. And Jackie is our lead Master Gardener for that. And they'll do a yard consultation for you. And they'll give you tips on how you can make your yard more Florida friendly. And if your yard is already Florida friendly, it can be recognized as a Florida friendly yard. If it's not Florida friendly yet, they'll give you tips on how to make it Florida friendly. They'll come back out, and maybe the next time after you make those changes, you can be certified as a Florida friendly yard. You get a little flag that you can put in your yard and tell your neighbors how friendly your yard is, how environmentally friendly it is. So if you are interested in signing up for that program, we have a sign-up sheet here. You can sign up after class, and Jackie or one of the other Master Gardeners will contact you to set up a time to come out and evaluate your yard. We have quite the wait list right now because we just started the program. Everybody's so excited, which is great. So any questions? I know I sped through pretty fast, but I think I'm right on time for questions. Quarter of. Yes?
I have a couple actually.
Okay, good.
So you mentioned active growing season in Florida, right?
Yes.
So when is it in Florida? I know we have 2 seasons, right? But when is the active
So
growing?
in South Florida, that's pretty much 12 months out of the year. If we, because our plants are always growing, but if we had to have a time where the plants aren't growing that much, would be usually December through January, just 2 months. So our plants are already starting to grow again because the days are getting longer and warmer, so the plants are going to grow. But if we were up in like Central Florida, it'd be a longer period of time because they get a bit colder.
And does the size of the mulch matter? So when you buy mulch, do you buy like a big nuggets
Yes,
or the really
great
shredded?
question. The large nuggets are going to shade weeds out more than the shredded mulch. So those large pine barks, you're gonna have better weed control because they're larger, they can shade out the weeds, where you've seen the shredded ones, there's a lot more room for those weeds to grow.
Okay.
Yep.
And last question. Can I use neem oil on a blooming mango?
Neem oil on a blooming, yeah, neem oil can be used on the one thing about neem oil is that you do not want to use it when temperatures are above 85 degrees, but otherwise you could use it, I wouldn't use on a blooming, would you say blooming?
Blooming.
Oh, blooming. No, okay, I take that back. The answer is no, because it is an insecticide. It can hurt the bees if you have bees present. Now, if you do it early in the morning before the bees wake up, or late at night after they go back to their hive, that the pesticide will dry before they come back. Because the neem oil has to have contact with the insect to kill it, so it suffocates it. So if it dries by the time the bees come back, they won't be affected by it. You have to actually spray the bee to get it. So if the bees are present, you don't want to be spraying. Does that make sense?
It does. I
Yeah.
actually was more concerned about neem oil getting into the mangoes in the
Oh,
fruit.
no,
No,
it won't
okay,
get into
no
the
concern.
fruit, no.
Okay, great, thank you.
Sure. Yes.
What about weed cloth or plastic under mulch?
So I don't like the weed cloth because it's permanent, and the dirt's just gonna start piling on top of it, and you're still gonna have weeds. It might do the job for 8-12 months, but then eventually the weeds are gonna just start growing, because as your mulch breaks down, it's just gonna lay on top of that weed barrier. It's not gonna go into the soil. Maybe in vegetable gardens it might be okay, because that's a short-term crop, but I wouldn't use it in landscape. Other questions? Yes.
I have a question, and I'm on HOA board, and our community's approaching 20 years old.
Okay.
And the developer had planted these live oak trees. And I know you had that saying, wrong plant at the wrong place, because there might be, maybe 6, but anyway, these live oaks now are huge. They're pushing up our paver blocks. But we get mixed signals. We say, well, you can't cut it, the county, Martin County says you can't cut these trees down and you gotta cut back the roots. But we're also afraid that they're gonna get into the water pipes feeding and, you know, the
Right.
utility, underground
Yeah.
utilities. So, sometimes we get conflicting information, so maybe you can help.
Cutting the roots is, if it's a large majority of the roots of the tree, is not recommended, cause now you're creating an unsafe tree, by cutting
Well,
the roots.
Yeah, we're at the point now, we've had that done
Okay.
numerous times.
Mhm.
I mean, because we were told we couldn't cut the trees down. But now, it's alarming because, you know, so, do we have to get permission to cut these trees down from the county? Can we cut them down?
Yeah, it depends where it's located. The best person to answer that would be Lindy Serrer from the county. She's the one that comes out and she'll make that determination if you can or not. You might be able to cut it down, but then you have to replace it with another
Well,
tree.
yeah, we would do that,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
because like I said, it's really, we're getting mixed signals from our, HOA management company.
Right.
Cause they're saying, oh, the county's not gonna let you do that, and
Yeah.
we've been cutting these roots, but now we're at the point where, you know, we got, so.
Yeah, Lindy would be the best person to answer that. She's really nice. She'll come out and let you know if you
Okay,
have
I'll
to.
have to write her name
Yeah.
down. Thank you.
Yes, question.
I have two questions.
Okay.
Kinda two and a half. What is the correct pronunciation? Is it bougainvillea or bougainvillea? How do you say that?
I say bougainvillea,
Okay.
but it's whatever.
So it's 100% wrong at all.
Oh.
Bogey is what our.
We can call it whatever you wanna call it.
So we inherited a large hedge of it.
Okay.
And some of it is blooming and beautiful, some of it is maybe dead, it doesn't have anything on it, and then some of it is alive, but no blooms. I'm ready to be really careful how you fertilize it, what do we do to make it pretty?
So bougainvilleas are a very picky plant. They don't like much TLC. They like almost to be ignored and be a little bit on the dry side, because they're from Mexico. That's where they're kind of, they like that kind of hot, dry area. So I don't know if the ones that aren't blooming, maybe they're getting too much water versus the ones that are blooming might be in a drier location. So not much fertilizer unless, because if you fertilize them, that's going to keep them from blooming more, because they're just going to be pushing out new leaves instead of ever pushing out flowers. So drier side, no fertilizer unless it's deficient, and don't look at it too funny because they're picky plants. But there can be, I mean, some people have beautiful ones, and it's usually you see them where they're like, they're not doing anything to that plant, so they just don't like that TLC.
Okay, well, we've been trying to leave it alone, so we'll see what
Okay,
happens.
see what happens. Yeah,
And
there
then
should
my
be
second
fruits.
question, we have, also inherited two, what apparently are live oaks, thanks to the extension,
Okay.
and it is the wrong plant in the wrong place. Do you have any recommendations? We can't keep them, but do you know of any place if we dig them up that we could donate them? I don't want them to die.
Right, how big are they?
They're,
8 feet.
So with oak trees, it's, if the diameter of the trunk's more than about this big, then it's, the likeliness that they're gonna survive the transplant is pretty low. So unfortunately, would be best just to cut it down.
okay,
I know it's sad, but
it is.